much for participating. I was able to bounce around a bit across all of the rooms. Joy, I apologize to you and Chris because I realized the confusion. Your slides were labeled different than the breakout room that you were assigned to. And so that's where we had some confusion, but y'all were on the right slides and typing. So that's all that matters. And you had your group, so that was good. I realize we only have 8 minutes left together. So I'm going to say a few things, and then I'm going to ask the Mass Design Group facilitators to take a minute or two to just give us a high level, like if there was something that was pressing, something that you weren't expecting, something that was inspiring that came out of the conversation, please share that with us anonymously. From there, our team is going to be working to synthesize these slides, and we will provide that synthesis as well as a copy of this deck back to this group at a later date. I am sharing my screen now just because I want you all to see all of the comments that were coming in for each of the breakout rooms. I'm so excited to see this level of participation. So I genuinely do appreciate folks jumping in and sharing their perspectives, and it's this information that our team will be culling through to read and interpret and feed back to you to make sure that we heard you correctly. The last thing that I do want to say, I have stopped sharing my screen so that we can see each other again. The last thing I want to say before I ask the groups to give us their high-level synopsis before we let each other go this evening is that our second session together will be on Wednesday, March 9th. It'll be at 5:30 p.m. until 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just like this session. You will receive a similar invite to what you received for tonight. And prior to that moment, you will definitely receive a copy of this deck and the synthesis that I've just referred to. So look out for that information. It is coming. These things take time, but they will certainly be with you. So with that, I am going to ask if there is a masser that wants to go first, that feels prepared. Alejandra was the only one who replied to me and said yes, so she might be the most prepared, but if not, somebody else jump in there.
I can jump right in, Ja, and then let it back. I know it's a short time. I'll try my best. David, certainly please jump in, or others that were in my group. We talked at length of a number of things. Some things that stood out here that I highlighted is that the memorial should focus on helping people now and learning from the different ways of engagement that King's Chapel has done in the past. And maybe that becomes an opportunity to engage historical Black congregations in Boston in sharing those opportunities, and also persuade the trustees to kind of have this memorial be a living memorial, and how might that become an opportunity for us to be living memorials ourselves. And then there was also mention about how it might we institutionalize more this truth-telling or radical truth-telling, and how might we more transparently and more effectively share these stories in a more kind of collective action way beyond a physical memorial. So there was a lot of just kind of productive discussion around living memorials. But we'll see more about that in our synthesis. Anything you would add there, David?
I think that captures it. I think we sort of wrestled with how to do everything that we wanted to do in this, in conceptualizing a physical memorial. So.
Wonderful, thank you. Go ahead, Morgan. I see you. Go ahead.
Happy to jump in next. We had a great conversation, really rich, and some things that I highlighted really quickly as highlights for me personally was hearing about this interest in the memorial sort of being this provocation, both personally and collectively, for how the church can sort of demonstrate this reckoning with past truths. There was discussion of really the opportunity to demonstrate leadership in this regard, as well as creating a space that connects to further resources beyond the space at hand. Those are a couple of quick highlights. I don't know if Kathy, if you have any others you'd like to share.
Sure. I mean, one that really struck me was that the new memorial will represent a shifting of values from the values of the past to present and future. And there was some discussion about the fact that we're a very public facility and that the potential impact of this could be significant. Also building on our sort of revolutionary history, we're now becoming a progressive institution, having been sort of an historically rich institution. So there's a whole change going on in the way we see ourselves and the way we would like the public to see us, and we hope that this will contribute to that as well. Thank you.
Jadi, I can add a few comments if that's all right now.
Please do.
Yeah. So we had a great discussion as well, and we're very grateful for all those comments. We had sort of the thoughts were offered that this is an opportunity for King's Chapel to show its leadership and set an example for other institutions that, of course, share this history. It's impossible that other institutions, well, it's not impossible, but many others do share a similar history. So KC can be a leader in that way. But we also heard, I suppose, a caution that we should approach this with some humility and not with the kind of arrogance that was undertaken or is evident in older memorials. And even the thought that the expenditure of resources here might be, if the church weren't careful, sort of seen as similar to the expenditures of resources in the past. So a kind of caution towards humility there. We heard the thought that names are always very important with memorials, and the most powerful memorials that we see these days are ones with names and with stories, precise stories that sort of connect with those who are viewing the memorials. We heard an interesting question as to how King's Chapel's spiritual beliefs can be explained and understood in the historic context. And I thought I took that to mean how King's Chapel's current spiritual beliefs perhaps would inform a memorial effort. Joy, maybe you have remember some comments that I've missed that are important.
Okay, I know we have a couple other groups to hear from. All set.
Thank you.
Great. So quickly, some of the high-level takeaways from my group. We talked a lot about how, or the importance of the proximity to the Freedom Trail and how really King's Chapel is this citywide stage and also global stage because people are coming from all over the world. And so there was talk of, this proximity to the Freedom Trail and the importance of a memorial that speaks to freedom. And how it would be very dishonest to not speak to freedom in the memorial. We spoke about the opportunity to make this educational and speak to the universal human, again, just from all of the foot traffic that King's Chapel sees. And a real opportunity here for King's Chapel to focus on unity and bringing people together through this memorial. Miguel, did you have any other large takeaways from our group?
I would just add one thought, and that was that we are a church and that this would be a memorial by a church. And that sort of sent my mind spinning as to how that would make this different from a memorial that might be imagined if we weren't a church. So I think that was important.
Excellent. Thank you all so much for those quick synopsis. I genuinely appreciate it. As I saw the notes coming in, I understood immediately that there was no way I was going to be able to do that. So I appreciate the last minute response to my request that you all do that for me. I am grateful for you all tonight, for coming on with us, for staying on with us, for contributing to this conversation. This work is impossible to do without collective dialogue and voices. So I sincerely appreciate everyone taking the time and the energy to be present tonight. As I've mentioned already, our next session will be on Wednesday, March 9th. I've just placed that in the chat. You will receive your correspondence and invitation directly from the committee, as you did for this session. If you have questions or comments in the meantime that arise, please send them to the committee here. I know you all have access to the folks that are part of the Memorial Committee, and they will forward them to the MASS team, and we will provide answers. We will be working, like I said, over the next week to synthesize this information, and we'll get that out to you as well. And in the meantime, I hope that you all stay well and blessed, and I look forward to continuing the conversation with you all.
Before you leave, I want Dean and Kathy, who are on this committee, just to mention who's on it and if you had any final words, just as our lay leaders of this.
Makes sense.
Dean?
All right. First of all, I want to thank everyone for coming and thank you for your contribution in this meeting tonight. We've come a long way. The Memorial Project has come a long way over the past 5 years, and we could not have done it without your support, your ideas, your thoughts. And we're continuing to move forward, and we want to continue, and we hope that we will have your support, your ideas and your thoughts as we continue forward. So thank you so much for being here this evening, and we look forward to seeing you on March 9th. You will get information about that. So that's all I have to say, other than a great big thank you to everyone, Mass Design, to the members of the committee, and to everyone. Thank you.
Kathy, will you mention who we are? It includes me, Paul.
Sure. We are Dean, who is our fearless leader. We are Cliff, who is part of the Living Memorial. Cliff is just had a big birthday. We have Miguel, and Miguel is the leader of the Physical Memorial. And then we have Joy and Faye, who indispensably, puts the history together for us that gets us moving on all of this. And Joy and myself. And we put in
And David.
And I did mention David, didn't I? I'm sorry. I thought I did. So, and David, of course, who is the most eloquent of all of us, actually. And so this group, I just want to give a shout out to the group because we put in tons of hours. Lots of thought, and it just to get to this point, I am so grateful, not just to all of you who are participating, but also especially to the people who have been leading this for the last 5 years, if you can imagine that. It feels so good to be at this point. Thank you.
Thank you,
everybody.
Good evening, Gail. Thank you all.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye.